Hey guys, Blacksmith here, coming to you today to talk about the thing that nobody in sports betting, at least no one who is a capper, handicapper, professional gambler, whatever you want to call them, wants to talk about. And that is losses. The reason I'm making this video is because a frustration of mine of having a business which is based around sharing sports plays and just based around tipping and being profitable is so often people come to me and they just have the most unrealistic expectations, and it's because of these scammers and frauds who lie about their record, and most importantly, that in their marketing they lie about the return that you can get. They want you to believe that this fantasy exists where you can have £50 in your account and they can turn it into 5,000. That does happen. Bets do happen that give you massive wins, but they're extremely rare, and you are most likely 99% of the time going to lose all your money before you get that payout. They are lying to you, and it's why so many people come to me and say, oh, I've been scammed, I've been part of this VIP group and this one. But sometimes they have actually been part of a group that run by someone legitimate, and it's just their expectations that have led them to believe that it's not doing well, because they think it's realistic to 100x their bankroll. It's not how it works, guys. This is one of the easiest ways you can tell if someone is a fraud. They never lose, and they never talk about losses. They only ever talk about wins. Everything seems incredible. It's not the case, guys. I've had a really good run. This year in particular has been absolutely amazing. But even I have losing periods. I've had two-week periods of losses this year. This weekend, actually, we ended up with about 45 units profit in total. So I have two groups in my service. There's my group, and then there is, I call him the footy tipster, but I tip football as well. It's because he runs a group that originally was just football, but he tips other sports, but mostly football. I actually had a bad week. The last 2 weeks, we've had a really good run. I've made 6.69 units and 16.75 units from the last two UFC cards. Last week's card, or a couple of days ago, UFC 305, I had a terrible run. For my bets personally, it was minus 15 units. Now, part of that was because of the bad decision for Kalubao. That ended up costing us about 6 units, but even then, I would have been down like 9 units. Also, I made a pick for Duplessis, but I didn't lay it. Fortunately, the football tipster put it in his group, so I guess if you want to combine that together, then with that play, that would have meant that I would be somewhere at, what would it have been? Somewhere at like minus 5 units, which isn't bad. But as a group for football, I made about 7 units profit last week. The football tipster ended up doing about 60. So we ended up with about 50 units profit, which is extremely good. That's an amazing week. 50 units profit, you have just made half of your bankroll back. But there are still people who think that that's not good. They see any loss as bad. And this is the frustration. You know, I say it all the time in my groups. I explain what most sports bettors make. I encourage people to go and Google it. If you Google, how much does a professional sports bettor make? Google will tell you 5 to 7% ROI. That means if you bet £1,000, dollars, whatever, you're only going to make 70 back. But that's good, because sports betting is all about building your bankroll to the point that a small return is extremely good. So my ROI at the moment for the group, mine is sitting probably at about 18% after last week. Football tipsters, he's only been tracking for 2 months, so his is very inflated, but he is averaging out close to 30%. He's had some extremely big wins though, so that will probably come down. So we're averaging close to 20% overall, which is extremely high. It likely won't stay like that forever. It probably will average out to around about 15% or so. So that is a realistic ROI. If you're really, really good, most good sports bettors, it will be 10%, and the majority, it's gonna be 5% or less. So if you are coming into sports betting, you need to realize this is a long game. You are not going to come in with £100, $100 and turn it into 10,000 in a couple months. Someone asked me recently, and I've had this question multiple times. Hey, if I join your VIP, can you guarantee that all your plays are going to win? They're like, today, every play you're posted, it's going to win, right? And I say, no, nobody can promise you that. Even if you think it's a lock and you're certain, anything can happen. A red card, a penalty, an injury within a fight, a bad decision like we had on the weekend with Khalibal. All sorts of things can happen. There's loads of variance in sports, and also we're still humans. Even professionals make bad decisions. We make bad plays. This weekend, I got too cocky because of the success that I've been having, and I made some very bad plays that weren't on the side of value, and I even knew it as well. I knew they weren't bad, but I thought they were going to hit, and I paid the price for it. And that's going to happen even with professionals, guys. People that you're watching, some of the most famous sports bettors, and I've followed some of them that charge a huge amount of money. Before I started my business, I followed a lot of them to track to see what their profit loss was. A lot of them are just making around 5%. Some of them even made a loss while I was following them. But long term, okay, I guess they are profitable, but not so much. They have huge bankrolls, so if they only make 3% profit, that's still a decent amount of money. So be careful who you're following. If someone is never talking about the losses that they're having, then they're a scammer. Similarly as well, if they're advertising crazy returns, you've got to have context to it. If they've had a really good week, okay, that can happen. But just like what I said to the football tipster, my football tipster the other day, he was talking about his ROI because it's so good. I said, it is amazing, mate. You're doing so well. But it's a short period of time, a couple of months. People do get lucky and just have a good run. It needs to be over a long period of time. That's when you get an accurate assessment. And similarly, there are great handicappers out there who have really bad losing streaks. There's someone I follow who actually is one of the people who taught me how to sports bet, watching their content, who's had a really bad streak recently. But it's going to turn around because they are a proven, third-party tracked, long-term successful sports bettor. They've got the data for years to prove it. They're just going for a really bad patch. It happens. If you're going to sports bet for 7 years, you're probably going to have a couple of months that are bad eventually. So the main thing is look for someone who is transparent, who's got a long record, and that record shows consistent performance. Most importantly though, they have all their plays posted. So like in our VIP, you can see all the play history. You can see every play that we've made. We break it down every week. You can see the profit loss. You can compare it with your plays. So you can check that it's accurate. It's completely transparent. 99% of these services do not do that. They either lie about their stats or they don't track stats at all. And you just feel like they're winning because when they lose, they don't mention it. And when they win, they shout about it. So be very careful. You should be tracking all of your bets to figure out if someone you're following is profitable. If they talk about, this is the most important thing though. If they don't talk about wins, it's because they're embarrassed because they know their record is bad. If they are profitable and they are good, they do not mind talking about losses because losses is normal. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's part of the game. They eventually happen to even the best people. So if someone is talking about their losses, more than likely they are better than the person who is ignoring them because they know that it's nothing to be ashamed of. Losses will happen. If you look at our week, we started off by Tuesday, we were up 50 units. We absolutely smashed it. And then the UFC let us down, but we still averaged out at a decent profit loss. Even if that didn't happen though, and we ended up in a loss, that does happen every now and then. So we've been doing this group since February, and we've had 2 bad periods of over a couple of weeks during that whole time. So we've got a really good record, but even we're not immune to it. And I consider our results to be extremely good. So guys, do not follow these frauds. If you want to join the group, the link's in the description. We're always going to be open and transparent. I also give a lot of analysis in the group that shows you how we make the picks. Earlier last week, so Monday and Tuesday, I ended up hitting 2 draws on 2 of the most popular football bets that were going. So 2 of the most heavily favourites that everyone was backing. We played it as a draw. We combined the draw together and we had a huge win. We also had underdog plays that hit, correct score plays that hit. These are the plays that proper handicappers make, not just picking big favourites all the time. And that's why you've got to be careful for the win-loss ratio as well, because that means nothing. Profit loss is the only thing that matters. And if someone does not track their bets, it's only for one reason, because they are a losing sports bettor. Be careful who you're tracking, make sure they are not hiding their losses, and most importantly, if they're not talking about the losses that they're having, because everyone has losses, they're probably a scammer and a fraudster. So if you want to follow someone who is legit, who actually is transparent and is profitable, join our group. We've got a free group where we post free plays, links in the description, and we're going to have another amazing week.